You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 21st meeting for the LaPorte County Board of Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Welcome everyone to the LaPorte County Board of Commissioners meeting, Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. If everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Oh, Tim made it. Roll call. Mr. Haney?
Present.
Mr. Hollifield?
Present.
And Ms. Grammarosa?
Present.
All three are present. You have a full.
Consider agenda.
Madam President, I'd like to add a couple items to the agenda here tonight. The first would be consider an MOU for EMA in the LaPorte County Visitors Bureau, and the second for consider a travel authorization form.
I'd also like to add, besides the travel form, 11E under new business, the May 29th town hall meeting. So
May 29th,
town hall.
Town Hall. Joe, under new business, you wanted F and G, correct?
Sure, yeah. F and G are fine.
And then when is going to be an MOU between
EMA and the Convention Visitors Bureau. And the other, the travel authorization form.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second these. I'll second yours, Joseph. You'll second mine.
Second, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Consideration of claims.
Payroll ending 5/16, $1,494,545.01.
I make a motion we accept the payroll as claimed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Moving on.
We forgot the minutes.
Oh, I'll finish the operation.
Okay.
Okay.
Expense, and then you go back. Operating expense claims, $2,318,734.11.
Motion to approve the claims as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Consider approval of May 7th, 2025 minutes.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Public comment. Public comment is now open.
Good evening. This is Donna Johnson. Did I give my address? 1037 Indiana Avenue, LaPorte, Indiana. And I'm here to speak to the commissioners and all the elected officials and anyone else in the room. I want to address civility. So I looked it up in my little dictionary. Civility comes from the Latin word civilis, meaning relating to the public life, befitting a citizen. In other words, being friendly and nice to everyone. When you show civility, you use kindness and good manners. You are respectful even if you do not like the person very much or do not agree with them, which we have a lot of strong personalities. I'm one of them. And also civility means being in a formal politeness, like your behavior at a fancy dinner. Anybody goes to that. So this evening, I'd like to say that each one of you have been given a place of honor in our community. And I want to respect that. And I do respect that. And when I don't respect that, I'd like to be let known. You also have a position of responsibility. The community is trusting you to take care of us. Our finances. We just heard from the finance report, our finances, to keep us above board and to keep our roads good. Bad conversation there. But you know what I mean. And I respect that. I don't know all the things that you do, and it's a lot of hard work, and I wouldn't do it. But I'm concerned about the civility. And after watching some of the meetings that have been on Access, I'm concerned and I'm grieved that we do not seem to have civility among each other, and that is just a sad situation, and I don't think it's befitting us. And so it just the last meeting, it's not this. It's a lot of meetings that I have seen where there just seems to be tempers out of control. But I received this with my property tax this year, and actually I kind of looked at it, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I thought, oh, this is really cool, and I wouldn't have known about it except for the fuss that was made about it. So thank you, I guess, in the sideways speaking there. But I don't see anything harmful in this, but that's not the point. It's not about this. It's about how it was treated. And I think that when if an employee has something that needs to be addressed by their peers or by their superiors, that also, just like everything else, should be done with respect, and maybe not in a private setting, a public setting such as this, but in a private one. So that's where I'm at. It's like we are not each other's enemies. We live in a community that relies upon each other, and each and every one of us is responsible for our own behavior. And we have to, I was thinking, there's civic classes. I don't know what they teach in civic, but maybe we just all need to, and especially our elected officials, everybody, when I hear all these nominees coming up for election, that's why I hear, we don't want all this chaos. Look at all that chaos. And then when they get elected, there's more chaos. There's still chaos. What happens? There must be something that we're in the drinking water. So, again, I plead to you. We don't look good when this is going on. And I don't look good. Nobody looks good. Finally, I would like to say that there is a Lincoln dinner coming up the 31st of this month at the Barrow House in Michigan City. And two of our leading Indiana, leaders, the governor, lieutenant governor, and the attorney general are coming to speak. These people, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with some of the things they're doing, but they've been very active and I think they have their heart on our country and on Indiana, and I respect them for that. I would like to see a really good turnout. The registration deadline was today, but I would invite anybody who hasn't responded to that. I would like to see everybody there that's our elected officials, regardless of whether you disagree or agree with somebody in this room. These are our elected officials. You want the respect, and I want to give it to you. I think our state people coming in from state, like Micah Beckwith, I think he is at a meeting every day, and he's going to town halls. And a lot of people are coming up to him, and they're not happy with him. But he's accepting that, he's talking to them, and he's addressing it. So that's my invitation. Now, I understand that registration was today, the last day, but I'm trying to see if our sweet Bonnie can extend that to at least maybe Monday or so. She's going to check with the caterer. That's the only thing. So again, I would like to see everybody's face there, and I appreciate everybody. And I just pray for my community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Timothy Stabos, 1501 Michigan Avenue. I'm the prior LaPorte County Auditor. Members of the Board of Commissioners, as a citizen, I wanted to publicly express concerns I had about one of your members' service and comportment. That member ran on a platform emphasizing a purported return to civility and elimination of nepotism, and on the importance of transparency in government. With regard to civility, at the last county council meeting, as the council considered funding a no-bid contract request brought before them at the request of you commissioners, Councilman Justin Keel very respectfully asked that in the future, in situations that I lost my spot. Very small text. In situations deemed to be emergencies, the county follow the Indiana code and seek to get at least 2 quotes. So the public can know that a bare level of due diligence, I guess I got to read it because I keep losing my spot. A bare level of due diligence on cost containment was performed. Commissioner Holofield strode up to the podium and told Keel, a member of a body that is supposed to be a rightful check and balance on the commission's power to contract, quote, why don't you come and shovel the GD sewage out of the building the next time we have an issue like this, boy? How does that sound to you? This was intemperate, highly offensive, insulting, lacking in civility, demeaning, degrading, and disrespectful to the rightful station of a county councilman. Worse, Commissioner Hollifield's referring to an elected official with 10 years of government experience as boy, merely because he is 28 years old, implies that Mr. Keel somehow has less legitimacy or less credibility because he is a young person, and is an insult to all young people. The chair of the Republican Party has called on Commissioner Hollifield to apologize, pointing out that an executive with a firm representing a $70 million economic development project was in the audience when Mr. Hollifield made his outburst, and arguing, the chair of the party, our economic development efforts were compromised by the lack of professionalism. My question directly to you, rhetorically anyway, Mr. Hollifield, is, will you apologize to Councilman Keel for your inappropriate behavior? Finally, as one of your opponents in the Republican primary over a year ago, you sent out thousands of glossy full-color postcards purportedly paid for by the committee to elect Steve Hollifield. You had a legal and ethical responsibility, in my opinion, to disclose who exactly paid for that postcard, and yet a year later, the public and your two former opponents still don't know. The LaPorte County Election Board received a formal complaint in January from me, and possibly others, I don't know, and asked you many weeks ago to provide updated campaign finance reports to correct your errors and omissions. You updated your reports. I saw them a few weeks ago, unless you've updated them since, but you steadfastly refused to disclose how exactly the postcard you authorized and you claimed to have paid for was funded, nor was the expenditure for the postcard in any way disclosed on your campaign finance reports. With your refusal to disclose this and over a year having gone by since this expenditure, I'm formally asking the election board and the county prosecutor to hold you accountable for your lack of transparency and for your willful refusal to disclose what our campaign finance laws require, which is who paid for what. The public deserves an explanation. Mr. Hollifield, are you going to tell us right now who paid for and who funded that postcard? What are you waiting for, sir? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Public comment is still open. Anyone else for public comment? We are closing public comments. Moving on. Department head comment. Department head. Comments are open.
Good evening.
Evening.
Angie Davis, Facilities Interim Director. And I brought Scott with me because we're going to tag team a couple things. So if you want to start with.
Scott Cooley, LaPorte County Project Management, here to discuss the showers in the jail that we just waterproofed on the 5th floor. I have a packet that I would like to deliver to you guys, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Some pictures of what we did.
Thank you.
I got it.
Thank you.
So as we know, these showers have leaked for a long time. Talking to some in the jail, maybe as long as 20 years plus. Caused quite a bit of damage over the years. This first picture is just a picture of what it was before we started. And I believe there's 20 cell blocks in the jail, and most of them look like this, a bank of 3 showers, 2 regular showers, 1 handicap shower. Second page is really the reason that the showers were leaking. There's failed epoxy on the floor. That should be a nice seal there. You can see that it is pulled away. The other issue is that bracket that you see right there is a seat in the shower. When you set on that seat, it puts pressure on the bottom of the shower, which was not ever connected to the concrete floor, and it caused that gap right there, and water was going right down into the floors below. As you can see in the next picture, after we removed some of the epoxy, you can see that the bottom of the shower does not have a floor in it. It just has those flanges. Those flanges were never attached to the concrete. So anytime somebody kicked them, leaned on them, sat in that seat, it was causing more and more of an issue over the years.
So we went in, we anchored the shower to the floor. Next picture is just some of the prep work we're doing. We removed some epoxy, we removed some concrete. On the next page, we removed, cleaned, and sealed these access panels. There's two you can see there that are horizontal, and then two that are vertical. We removed those. Those never had, or when we pulled them out, they didn't have any type of seal at all. It was just a metal-to-metal connection. So without any type of seal, water is just going to run right in there. So those are all sealed now. Next page is just the finished floor that's there. And what we put in there was it was a 4-step, it's 4 layers of a 2-component urethane quartz floor system. So every layer that we put on was its own waterproofing. So layer 1, layer 2 went on top of it. It was another seal. We actually have 4 seals there now. So we are very confident that this did fix the problem. Tomorrow morning we are going to flood test the bank of showers. We're going to put about 1.5 inches of water in there, mark the wall where it is, leave that water setting there for 24 hours, come back and check it all, make sure that it hasn't lowered, go behind the showers, look underneath the showers for any leaks. We're very confident that this did solve the problem. Behind the pictures is a proposal, because I know we do have another set of showers that's leaking into the back 40, into the boiler room in the jail. On that set of showers, as you'll see behind the proposal, that is leaking directly on this 3-inch gas line. That gas line is extremely corroded. We have put sniffers on it. It is not leaking. There's no immediate danger, but that 3-inch gas line is extremely corroded, and every time someone showers, water continues to drip on that gas line. In one of the pictures, you can see that there, over the years, because the leak couldn't be stopped, there were pans put in to catch the water, and then they were drained into another drain. So it continues to leak on that gas line, just as a point of fact. On that, if you decide to move forward on that leak, that will be 2 showers because they're back to back. It's in cell block S2 and cell block S3. On the last page is the blueprint. You can see that those showers are back to back. So unfortunately, you can't do just one. If you want to try to fix that leak, it's going to take a repair on 2 showers. Do you have any questions for us?
So I just want to say, this is the gas line that we not only took the commissioners, we asked, both commissioners have been down there and have seen where this gas line is kind of just chipping away across the top. We've taken all 7 councilmen down there. I think our county attorney has been down there, and it's something that really needs to be addressed before we have a major problem. I've asked Angie to go ahead and get it quoted out, which she has done. And what I am asking for is permission to give Angie permission to go to the council and ask for an additional appropriation. As they've said, it's unfortunate when we did the first one, what was the first proposal? What was it going to cost us had we replaced the whole system versus the way that we did it?
So the initial budget to replace those 3 showers and waterproof the floor was $249,985. That's for one cell block through those 3 showers. By the time you get those units up there, they have to be welded in place because they will not fit through the doors. Have to be welded in place, which means you have to have the air extractors. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. $249,985 per cell block. You have 20 cell blocks in the jail. If you were going to do that, that would be $4,999,700. So what we did was $20,000 worth of repairs. We inspected it, we repaired the shower, and we repaired the floor. The showers appeared to be in very good condition still. no corrosion that would cause any issue. The only issue that we found we didn't expect is that handicap shower did not have a floor in it. It was just those flanges that shocked us. So, you know, at $20,000 times 20 showers, if you were to do them all, you're at $400,000, opposed to $5 million if you were going to replace them. We're confident this is going to be a fix. We're confident that we could continue to do this work, and it will work. If you would move forward with that, you're saving about $229,000 per cell block. You're saving about $4.6 million if you do the whole jail. So considerable difference there.
This is something too that the maintenance staff has gone in and tried to recaulk and try to fix themselves, and it wasn't the proper.
I do know 2 years ago we had maintenance go in there, just water with regular caulking,
Yep, they
waterproof
scraped it out and tried
caulking,
to-
and
yes.
that didn't work, correct?
Yes.
So I believe you're not going to ever fix the issue until you remove the epoxy and attach those showers to the floor. Because every time someone sits on that seat is like this, someone sits there and the pressure is right down on the bottom. That bottom of that shower moves about a half inch every time somebody sits on that shower base. So you can caulk it and it's going to last a little bit, but until that is actually attached to the concrete floor, I don't believe that it's ever going to truly be fixed.
Go ahead.
So just to recap, these problems came to light last late fall when we had that water loss in the jail that was in the wall that had to be demoed. And the jail is still being repaired, and we're still dealing with travelers' insurance on that claim. Now, beginning this month, you're pretty much self-insured because your deductibles jump into $250,000 for any type of water loss claim with the new carrier that you improved because of what we've had with the water loss in this building. So I think you need to take a look at that when it's coming. If you're going to spend $200,000 now to repair these potential areas that are leaking sequentially, if you were to lose that pipe that it's leaking on now, the water loss claim that we're looking at now, we're $600,000 into it that the carrier has paid to date. So just to give you a little idea, a little bit of possible prevention and fix might be better in the long run, even though you're going to take the hit now. So.
Well, so I mean, I don't think that we should be looking into doing all the pods at once. I think that if we handle the two that we have the water damage with on the natural gas line, if we can just, if the board tonight decides, if we could just approve those two at $40,000 and then try to work something out where the council can maybe work it into a schedule where they're doing so many of them every year until we can figure out, we can get them all done. But I do believe that it's crucial that we do take care of the two that are dripping currently on the natural gas line. So what would be the pleasure of this board?
I'd like to make a motion and one caveat, if you don't mind. You're going to flood test these tomorrow, correct? If everything works, I think you should go approach the council for that and then do the next two and then see what the budget's coming up in 60 days. About budget them for the rest of them then.
So we have a motion.
I'll second for discussion. I heard Commissioner Grammarosa mention that she asked you to get some quotes. Was it the one quote that you got, or did you seek any additional?
It was the one.
So one quote, okay. I think here, so we've had $20,000 so far related to this. We knew there was going to be more coming up, and as we're speaking here tonight, we know there's going to be more coming up in the future as well. So 40,000 with the 20 would put us over the 50,000 required to get 3 quotes. And of course, obviously, we're talking about going, ultimately as this is done, as this progresses, as we get more fixed, because we know we've got to address more, we're going to be over the 150,000 mark, which would require sealed bids. There's a provision in state statute that specifically prohibits dividing up projects so that they hit under the 50,000, either under the 150 or under the $50,000 mark to circumvent getting either sealed bids or quotes, whichever would be appropriate. So that I'm concerned here that what I've heard today from fellow commissioners as well as from facilities and project management is that we are going to be surpassing 50,000 and surpassing 150,000 ultimately on this, which would mean, since we know that and we've admitted it here in an open meeting, we need to at least solicit quotes, if not possibly bids, since we're going to be looking at over 150,000 ultimately. I would ask for your opinion on that, Mr. DiMartino.
So it's your call. I mean, if you think that this year you're looking at the 2 repairs for the maintenance, and then later on, if you're looking at a bulk, you can go ahead and get them quoted. If you know vendors, and if Angie, you have the scope that's out there, you can go ahead and reach out to 2. Mr. Haney, if you want it bidded, then we'll go through the bidding process and we'll see what transpires. It's your guys' call.
So is it considered all one project? I mean, the $20,000, the first one that was done was related to the actual
Water loss.
Correct. So that was one project. Now we have a problem where we have water dripping on a gas line. We can definitely continue to have water pour onto this gas line and take a chance of it breaking through. Would you prefer that we do all the cells at once? Is that your proposal? That you don't want to take care of this immediate problem with, we'll roll the dice with the gas line? Because I really do believe that all the other pods can be put off to the side, because at this point, we don't have an active problem, though they are probably leaking. Are you
They're not causing
aware
any
of
issues? I'm not aware of any other that are leaking at the moment.
Okay.
So how about this as a compromise? Why don't you solicit some bids, solicit some quotes for this project right now?
For the 40,000.
For those 2 showers. I don't know what it is, whether it's 40,000 or
Yeah, because someone might come in higher.
or lower. And then if it's something that you want to look at the scope for the rest of them at some point in time and put it on your capital improvement or whatever you're going to do, then you can bid it.
It's under 50,000.
Is that
bids?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a reasonable approach, since this is. Does that work for y'all?
I think that would probably put us in compliance.
Okay.
At least I think
Well,
so.
we
if
are
you're good
in
with it.
compliance because it's under 150,000. So I just want to make it, I want to establish the fact that this is a $40,000 quote. Up to $50,000, we are in compliance. So if you're not comfortable doing it and you want to get bids, you can, but it's not because I don't want it to go out to the public tomorrow. We were not in compliance, because with a $40,000 bid, is that not in compliance?
Right. So, but I think what Mr. Haney is saying well, if you take the 20 and now you're looking at 40, and the statute does talk that you can't separate things out in order to meet those requirements, that somebody in the public or somebody could look at it and say, well, it's really a $60,000 job. So I believe is that correct?
That's correct. And you compile that then with the fact we've talked here tonight that we know we're going to have to do more, and we'll look at, as Commissioner Hollifield mentioned, we'll look at budgeting those out in the future. We know that there's going to be all these different tiers, and taking the showers are cohesively one issue. You know, the fact that they're causing water loss either over the detective's desk versus over a gas line versus over some other areas, it's all water loss. Like anything that's leaking is causing water loss. Now, some may be more urgent than others, obviously, but it's still water loss is water loss. Damage is damage, and leaking showers are leaking showers. They're all in the same building. They're all in the jail. It's. I think a good argument and case could be made that, you know, I'm sure, or more than likely at least, it's more than likely that in all the other cells, since we've seen in one or two of them that those accessible benches that are there for the inmates in those and shower bays, probably none of them are anchored like they were supposed to have been. So if some of them haven't given out, they will, you know, potentially any day now. And unfortunately, that leaking water is, while it is urgent to get it taken care of over that gas line, that's something that's been leaking on there for several years.
Okay, so back to the solution here. Are you all okay giving Angie the direction to go ahead and solicit quotes for those two?
If we're going to do it for the whole project.
Can I make an amended on that?
No, whatever. You guys are going to do whatever you're going to do. I'm
Yeah.
just.
Because I think we should fix that gas leak and then solicit
For the
the rest of them and just do it all at once and be done. Because if these other two are leaking, they're going to, but I think that gas line needs to be addressed sooner than later. That's just, I mean, we all saw what happened last week. We had a natural gas leak in town.
And I get that, but if the gas line needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, and you're going to put it out to bid, it's not going to be sooner. It's going to be later.
Yeah, that's like I said. How about we just do the one they
entire
started?
project. Do the entire project. We put out all the pods at once. It's what, 200 and, how many pods are there, Angie?
400,000.
20.
20 pods. So we put out all 20 pods at once. This way we're within that, we're over $150,000. And then the council can figure out where they're going to get the $250,000.
Okay, so
Because,
if you want to put it out to bid, we can work on that. Angie can put together a scope, and you can put it out to bid.
I'm still concerned about that gas line. I mean, the rest of them, I have no problem with the bid. That's fine.
but Joe says it's okay. It's been leaking for months.
I'm not going to debate semantics in that one right now, but that gas line does need to be addressed. From your experience, okay, because otherwise it's going to continually get worse, and we're looking at probably 60 to 70 more days before we can get the bids done and opened and awarded.
And get the materials.
Materials there, because the materials will take a timeline too, but that gas line's not going to get any thicker.
Let him,
Good evening, Commissioners. So I'm Andy Skia. I'm 203 East Harrison Street, Michigan City, Indiana. I work with Mr. Cooley at LaPorte County Project Management. So I understand both sides here. I understand Commissioner Grammarosa and Commissioner Hollyfield's concern about the gas line. And I also understand Commissioner Haney's process of like jobs possibly being over the limit of 50,000. Irregardless of which way you decide to go, if you decide to get a proposal for the 40 or a proposal for the whole package at once. In my opinion, we're one step ahead, because if that's the process, then we're going to probably need an engineer or someone to write a specification. So the showers have been tried to be fixed many times over the last 20 years. They've never been fixed properly. So to make sure that the right products are used and the right steps are followed, you probably should look to engage a firm to do that, because we did that research in-house. So thank you.
and we're not going to, we would not try to take or steal your project. So we, I guess that's true. I think we're looking at 20 pods, you said? So,
Well, if this is going to need to be engineered, I think we need to put a request for proposal or request for qualifications out there to get somebody to engineer it and spec it and then go through that process.
and we rolled the dice on the gas line.
If that's the commissioner's decision, then that's the commissioner's decision.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're going to have to do.
So in relation to that area for the gas line, as we see here, there was a pan that was placed over it to keep the water from dripping on it. I would think our facilities could get another pan or contraption to take that water and make sure that what's leaking right now gets diverted temporarily off the line and into one of the sump drains.
Actually, it wasn't working because if you remember when we walked through it, we had cans and everything else catching it from the floor. So, I mean,
we should be able to, they should be able to
It depends on
fabricate
how much they
something
use
really,
the showers. And
to just
we're not fully staffed. I don't know how aware you are of that, but we are not fully staffed to have someone monitoring that like daily. We have so many projects going on in maintenance right now, and depending on how often they use it,
you could just get some Visqueen, make a little tunnel, duct tape, Visqueen.
we have so many quick
like,
fixes.
It may not be perfect, but there's
so we'll just
there's a couple different ways to do
we're
that.
going to duct tape it.
If you want to get the water off of it and you want to stay in compliance, I mean, there are ways to do this. There's probably a much better way that facilities people could come up with it. But I know when I had my little, for above my boiler, the pressure valve started blowing when I got it replaced. And in the meantime, when I got it replaced, I took some duct tape and I took some aluminum foil. I diverted it down off of it because it was a cold weekend. They couldn't get there for 3 days. I didn't have any water dripping on my boiler. Went right down to the sump pit. It was fine.
We're talking about a facility that's 24-hour facility, and the water's running on a gas line. When that gas line breaks, that becomes an emergency and has to be evacuated. In my honest opinion, getting this done and fixed the proper way first, and then bid out the rest of them, why create an emergency when we can fix a problem and then move on to bid out the rest of them?
Well, actually, currently we have the original motion pending before the board. Still, the president hasn't called a vote on it. So, if you want to call a vote on that, see how it goes.
I'm confused. What is the original motion now?
The original motion is to fix the leak of the gas leak, get it done since it's going to get worse. It's not going to get any better regardless of what you try and do. I'm deferring to what Angie's experienced with it, and her staff is shorthanded. So the motion would be fix the first pod like they did, fix the gas leak, put the rest of the project out for bid. And then we'll have to have an engineer to get RFQs, and then once you get the RFQs, then we'll have to get a bid process for a scope and start over again. So probably 90 days out?
On a good timing.
Okay, but at least we'll get the gas line fixed so we don't have another incident inside a building like they had last week downtown.
Just for clarification, we're not going to fix the gas line, just the shower.
No.
I understand that. But it's to prevent that. Then we can see what the problem is.
Well, the good news is there's nobody boring fiber through the bottom of our jail right now, so that's a plus.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nay.
Okay, so just for clarification, do you want to go ahead now
Yes.
as to the request for qualifications to
Yes.
find?
So we're going to have to hire an engineer to come out and engineer it. This is just going to be to fix the problem that we're having with the gas line. So it's just going to be fixing the 2 showers above the gas line that has a lot of corrosion already on it.
Okay.
And obviously, the council and the commission have all seen this. They've all felt that this is a problem. This is not the final because, again, we are just giving you permission to go before the council. You go before the council. If the council decides not to fund this project, then it will die in the council. You can bring it back. In the meantime, for the remainder of the pods, that to me, whether they're leaking, if they are leaking or they're not leaking, there's something that's going to have to be addressed. We can go ahead and we can, if the pleasure of this board is, we put it out, we get an engineer to come in, look at the whole project, the whole remainder of the project, and you're looking at over $200,000, then we go from there. Would that be the proper step? Go out for engineering first?
Well, yeah, you're going to need to get a professional, so you're going to do a request for,
RFQs.
for qualifications.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Okay, we've made so many motions here to start with. So she's going to go to the council to
On
fix.
this one?
That's done.
For the figure, okay. So you need a motion to request to get RFQs to the engineering study for the other 18 pods. Make that my motion.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're set.
Thank
You're
you.
going before the council.
While I'm up here, do you have any questions about the Hyler building? The sewer?
No, I think you guys did an amazing job, especially in the circumstances with the emergency that was signed by the commission and the council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a couple updates on projects going on. Fairgrounds is all looking on track for finishing projects on time, all electrical maintenance out there, painting the fence. The community building roof is scheduled to be done by June 15th. Of course, those are weather permitting when they get out there. Sound system and speakers in the show arena, the work is expected to be completed by the end of next week, I believe. The fairgrounds itself, sound system, the cable is pulled, the speakers are in place. They're using temporary boxes to house the speakers at this point. The other permanent boxes are coming from someone else. They will be placed when they are received. Concrete for commercial building 1, along with the concrete footings and the wall for the hog barn, is scheduled to take place between May 27th and May 30th. Of course, again, that's weather permitting, but those are the updates, and that's moving along. And museum elevator, I know we've been waiting and waiting on this. I've been reaching out to Otis and getting communication with them. The last communication was March 19th. They were expecting everything to be in by mid-May, but they were still 3 to 6 weeks out on some of the material. As of this point, they're expecting to start the project in mid-June and wrap it up by the end of June. I have the email communications. I don't know if you guys want copies of them, so that you know that has not been put on the back burner. It has just been waiting on
Thank you.
parts, and I have relayed all of this to Danielle at the museum as well.
Thank you.
And the JSC roof is complete. They did have a little issue that they found, an area of caulk that needs to be replaced. Joe from JB West is coming out when it dries up to get that fixed up. Dion and Anita are aware.
Can I make a suggestion with the museum? If you could get a hold of Danielle and find out when the board actually meets, because we have had a couple of the board members call the commissioner's office, kind of not really knowing where we're at, so maybe there's some lost communication there. If you could go and address the board, or at least get the phone numbers of the board members and notify them all and explain to them the situation that we've had. We've been promised certain dates, fell through, but we're diligently working on it, and that they're all aware.
Yep, I can do that.
I'm liaison for the museum, so I'll reach out to them tomorrow and I'll be in contact when the next meeting is.
Okay. Thank you.
Their meetings are the second Monday of the
Second
month.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was liaison, I attended those. Thanks.
Okay. Any other department heads? Department heads. Hearing and seeing none, we'll close department head comments. Moving on to requests. Consider Ziegler Road closure during the week of fair, which will be July 5th through the 12th.
Make a motion, we accept that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Consider Michigan street closure during Kankakee Township Fire Department open house on May 31st in Rolling Prairie.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider permission to approach the council to purchase a new vehicle. Rob Saby from EMS. Yes,
EMA.
EMA.
Okay.
I'm giving you a new title.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe. Yeah, so requesting to get a new vehicle, and the reason being is the vehicle we have right now, there's really nothing wrong with it except for it's just too small. We haul a lot of trailers. One of the actually a generator that we have access to through our district. It takes a 1-ton truck to pull it. It's that big, and we had to go down to Indianapolis about a month ago to pick up some surplus from the state, and I pulled an empty trailer down there, and the truck was actually, I barely could get it to, keep it at 65. It was just that hard pulling a empty trailer. So, and it's also, the truck we have is only a 6-cylinder. It's a 1/2-ton. What I'm looking to do is replace it with a 1-ton truck, so that it's basically safer. It's heavier duty, has heavier braking capability, that kind of thing, heavier transmission, just a bigger truck is it. So.
Out of curiosity, when was your truck purchased?
It's a 2019.
Okay.
So this is 25, so it's 7 years old. It's got 60,000 miles on it right now. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the truck. It's not serving a purpose for us, really. It's not big enough. It's just a safety issue.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion. You approach the council. I wish you good luck.
Thanks.
I'll second that. Having access to some of those other resources from the Northwest District here in Indiana would be great, and having to borrow one of their trucks to pull it in is yet another hurdle as far as. Yeah.
And we also assist the hazmat. So, I've pulled hazmat trailer before, and, their trailers are huge, and they've got a lot of equipment on them, and that truck is just not big enough to do it. It's, like I said, it's a safety issue, and, it's not that I'm out here just to get a new truck. It's something that's going to actually service the community, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. One more thing, Rob. Last week.
You okay?
Last week, during the gas incident, your staff, you reached out to me, the fire department, Matt Decker. We were on the phone all day. Fire departments. I was on the phone with the mayor a couple different times. The city and the county were flawlessly together.
Yeah, we brought our trailer out for that. We had it out for a cooling trailer, and we've got coolers in there that we keep water in, and for the firefighters or whoever. We're there anytime anybody needs us. All we are is a phone call away. We'll be there. So, but this will actually help us do that job a little bit better. So.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you, your assistant, and also shout out to the LaPorte City Fire Department for it was a bright, sunny day and a little on the warm side, and they were standing out there in their turnout gear for several hours. Keep an eye on that while they located it, tracked it down, and actually got the expertise and equipment there to put it to get that actually shut down.
We lucked out on that one that the gas went down the sewer down towards Lincoln Way instead of coming this way, and having to evacuate the whole building and everything. So, but we were keeping up on it. Hazmat was there. We were actually, they carry a bunch of meters to monitor for that. So, we actually had a meter with us, so we make sure that everything was good, and the fire department, NIPSCO, everybody out there working, and everybody here. Of course, like you said, we all work together, and.
Excellent.
It was a good
teamwork.
outcome. Nobody got hurt. That was the main thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Consider RFP for Michigan City EMS building.
Good evening. Brian Beach, Assistant Director of EMS. So we went through all the RFQs, read through everything, looked at everything, went through the number packet we got from the planner, scored everything out, and our recommendation at the end of going through everything would be our number one recommendation was LaPorte County Project Management. If some terms can't come between them and the commission for anything, for whatever reason, we did do a secondary of JPR as well.
So what would be the pleasure of this board?
Mr. Beach, who I know you say you went through and scored it. Was that you and
Myself and Eric, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty much, I mean, if you want it broke down, I mean, everyone is qualified. I mean, I don't think qualifications is an issue for anyone that was on there. A lot of it dealt with location, who we've had projects with in the past, the dealings with them, things like that. I mean, that all we took into account within all of it. We actually put them in two separate piles to see where we would score them individually, and we scored them all identical until the last two. We flip-flopped the last two without even knowing. So we didn't even talk about it really. Like, we did them individually just to see where we would land. So to make it a little more, I guess, I don't know if you want to say bias on bias, however you want to put it. So.
Since you guys are going to be the ones working in this building, your staff, and you're going to be the ones that stuck with it for a while, I make a motion we accept your recommendation. As your Senate, number one would be LaPorte County Project Management, and if terms can't be come together, we go with JPR.
Yeah. Do you guys want more, or do you just want the first two?
Well, Craig, do we need a contingency
Do you have
of?
a third?
We have them all listed out.
Yeah, give us a third.
A third?
Case.
Okay. So one was LaPorte County Project Management. The third would be JPR. The second was K2M.
I thought JPR was second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because you said
You
third.
just said third.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The second is JPR.
And then
The third is K2M.
Okay. And are these companies all local?
So LaPorte County Project Management, their main office is out of Michigan City. The JPR is out of South Bend, and K2M was out of Indianapolis.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept the recommendations. Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion. I know I sat down with Eric and went through all of these and looked at all the proposals. The one thing that does come to mind is that as a relatively new company, LaPorte County Project Management has done good work for us, but to my knowledge, they haven't built any public safety buildings or done any ground-up construction either, which is something that it's going to be an EMS base up there for you guys for quite a while. It'll probably be a long time before we revisit that, because there's other bases that we need to either build new, start over like the Wanata base, for example. And I still would love to see us get a base out in Westville for when the prison and their population goes up substantially, especially with their aging population. That you guys know better than anybody between the two facilities. You guys run a lot of calls to both, and now it's all going to be condensed to that one area in about 3 years. So,
May I? So this is not for the building. This is not the actual building. That would have to go out for bidding. This is for design concepts
And project management, correct? That's the way we took it too.
Yeah,
So
so it's not for the actual construction. This is just the first step in trying to find something that's workable, that will work for the county. So just to clarify.
in one thing that did stand out, just I don't know how much you and Eric, what all Eric had told you, what you guys said. One thing that stood out for me, I can't speak for him, with project management was, with LaPorte County Project Management, was that in their RPQs, they did show more of a understanding of our concept of what we were looking for, even though they're not doing the actual project, but for managing it, knowing that we are struggling finding a separate location to house ourselves in. They had a plan of attack already kind of in place for us staying on property, which was big for us, and to save hopefully the county some money in that aspect.
That would actually save us
Appreciate
a
that.
lot of money.
So that was one thing that stood out for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't speak for Eric.
Because you, I, and Eric spent a year and a half going and visiting many, many, many sites and looking at the alterations that we were going to have to invest on top of renting the building, and it just wasn't working for us. We couldn't find any place that was going to work for us, so it's definitely a good option. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 nay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, consider Baker Tilly contract for the auditor.
First, we have to take this off the table, correct?
No, this
no, it was
this was a
This was the one we
separate, this
tabled.
was
Separate,
a
okay,
different
okay.
contract.
Okay, so this is a contract to assist in getting internal controls, written internal controls. In the past several years of audits, the findings of the SBOA is that we are not compliant in many things, and so what forces them to do is do additional testing, which costs us more money because they can't rely on the systems that weren't in place, because there's no systems in place that they could, So Baker Tilly is one of the preferred financial people that you had approved earlier in the year. And so we approached them to get assistance. They're also very well known in this area. They have specific people that handle these specific items. One of the gentlemen's name is Todd Caldwell. Not that it matters, but he's not the normal crew of people that we usually see at the conferences. And the idea is to get these in place to make sure that they're properly working, and so that in the future years, we do not have these issues, and that we can get by with cleaner audits, with doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. One of the things that part of internal control is having someone prepare something and someone else review it. And that is one of the key factors of making sure that things are being done right. It's possible an error could happen, but the big deal is having the approval process or the review process. And we're constantly going through that from every angle. And one of the things that we know that we have to put in place is that a remote claims policy was put in place. However, the documents that are being put into the remote system are not properly signed by the department head as being approved. So we've said of July 1st as a date to correct that issue. We've already discussed this with the SBOA. They like the idea, they approved the idea, and they haven't tested 24 when this first system was put into place. So we're trying to find ways to put things in compliance. But the key thing of having someone who's a professional organization that has done this for a living and knows the ins and outs, and I can tell you there are other counties that have used them to do this, and we're not looking to spend the type of money that they are, partially because of my background. And once we get a system and a format, we'll be able to do a lot of it and have them do the double check with us. So that's why we brought this proposal in front to you.
Looking here, they're recommending $60,000 to start.
It won't cost $60,000.
Okay.
The idea is to keep it more in the $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay. They just in case there's $60,000 what they're asking to appropriate for.
We will go to the council and we will appropriate what we need to do for that.
I'd make a motion to approach the council for permission up to the $60,000. Sitting here.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Consider second reading for ordinance establishing LaPorte County Sewer Water Management Department. Can we get a motion to read by title only?
Motion to read by title only.
Second.
We have a motion to read by title only. Mr.
So you have a motion.
To read by title only.
We got to vote.
Yeah.
We
We
need to
just-
vote.
All those in favor say aye.
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 LaPorte County Board of Commissioners. Oh, sorry. The LaPorte County Board of Commissioners ordinance number 2025-1, establishing LaPorte County Stormwater Management Department managed by a board of directors.
Motion to approve on second reading.
Second, and I'd like to ask a couple of questions. We don't have a fee. This is going to be funded through fee schedules, correct? The salaries and everything else?
So, yeah, so what you
We don't have a schedule.
You don't have the schedule because you have to have the board set the schedule. They've been working on a schedule.
Okay.
We're having the board, they're going to set the schedule, they're going to get it budgeted at the budget hearing.
Okay.
Yes, that's why you have an outline, but you don't have the
Okay.
schedule.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Can I ask a question? You had this contract before you. You guys approved to sign it contingent upon funding from the council, right? Was that your, because it wasn't clear.
The Baker Tilly.
The Baker Tilly, the
Yeah,
one with.
Joe's motion was for him to approach the council for 60,000, not to exceed 60,000.
But he can't come, but we can't delay it in him coming back to you again, because this work needs to be done.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
But he doesn't have money in his budget.
but he can get a support from them and start as to going, because I understand that he's already discussed it with the council. So I guess the point is, he doesn't have to come back to you to get this executed.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Council's accepting to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I also, we do have $20,000 available to start it,
Okay.
but the additional funding we would need to get,
So you're looking at $5,000 additional funding?
or 10.
40.
40.
Okay. I thought not,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So moving on to new business, consider Phase 2 of the Franklin Street Bridge structural repairs
We got 10D under old business.
under old
Or you want to put the
business.
travel form under new?
I put everything under new. You want me to move
we
it
can do that
under
too.
old?
I mean, we can do it all new if you
Yeah,
want.
I went E, F,
Do you have
and
a
G.
preference, Joe?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Okay,
Come on back up.
sorry. So we're considering Phase 2 of the Franklin Bridge structural repairs.
Good evening, Andy Skia, 203 East Harrison Street, Michigan City. May I approach and give you a couple pictures?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, two items, if I may ask for your consideration on this evening. Last year, Marquis Electric was hired to design in conjunction with WJE and project manage. It was a two-year proposal, two-year project at the time. The first year was going to be some structural repairs that were needed to the bridge, and the second year, which was supposed to be this fall of 2025, spring of 2026, was supposed to be the tread plate replacement. So there's 4 tread plates on the bridge. Obviously, a couple of years ago when NDOT had their inspection, nothing to do with our work, nothing to do with our firm. Those tread plates failed inspection because of cracking. So there was some work done, which it was agreed at the time was temporary, because obviously the bridge had to be put in operation that spring. Last fall, we only got half of the structural work done, which we knew going into it when we obtained bids on your behalf because of the timing. So we assumed that would be split into the second half, hopefully this year. With that being said, obviously, the tread plates, which is what I have the pictures of for you here. The first picture is one of the 4. There's 4 tread plates, one on each corner of the bridge. That shows the current level of the concrete. So the following pictures are the excavation work that we're currently doing on site, which was part of the work we were hired for last year, which was to design and project manage the tread plate replacement. So the engineers, even WJE, are unsure what condition the structural steel is in, or the rivets, or how that was originally installed. So we got to do some on-site investigative work while the bridge is currently in use, just so the engineers can collect their data. So that is ongoing. So I just wanted to show you some pictures of that work. So the first ask I have for you this evening would be to go out and obtain bids for the second half of the structural work. And obviously, once those bids are received, I could request them to be turned in sealed to the commissioner's office like we did last year. We could review those together. If they were approved by the commission, then I would be happy to go to the council on your behalf and ask to fund that for this fall. Ideally, I would like to get that started now so we're not up against the wall with timing for once. My second ask, if you would consider it, would be to extend my agreement to a 3-year agreement. Obviously, you wouldn't be committing to the funding for the tread plate work. You would just be allowing me to take my 2-year contract to a 3rd year, because we assume that once the tread plate, once we're done with our preliminary work and get the design done, that that the tread plates, once we obtain pricing, which would be another process, sealed bids, that those could take a year to get made. So ideally, if we had an obligation that we could continue through with that process, hopefully later this summer or this fall, we would finish the drawings for the tread plate. I would come before you then once we had those drawings. I would ask permission this fall or winter to obtain proposals to fabricate and install those tread plates. Once we receive those, I would bring those back to you, maybe late fall, early winter. If you approve that, then we would release those for manufacture. They'd take a year to make, and then we'd get those next fall, and then we'd put those in fall of 2026, spring of 2027, which would then wrap up what was supposed to be a 2-year project, but due to timing would get turned into a 3-year project, if that makes sense.
It does.
With that bridge, nothing makes sense anymore.
So,
I would make the motion to authorize you to go out to bids for the second portion of it and extend that agreement from 2 years to 3 years.
thank you.
Second that. And I have a question. Those tread plates, they're going to be built here, or do you have to send them over to Germany to get them built?
We don't know that yet.
Don't know it
so
yet.
Ideally, we'd like to get them here, but
Yeah.
it'll be unknown. So at this time,
Okay.
we don't know how deep we have to go yet into the structure till this is done and they do the testing. And obviously, before when we go out for proposals, those will all be turned into you, and I'll keep you abreast of the steps. I just didn't want to get too far into this if we didn't have authorization to keep going.
And we put out RFPs for your work last time for that 2-year agreement.
That's correct.
So it's natural that we're extending it that 3rd year because we've already went out for that.
Yes.
You've done an amazing job for us with that bridge.
So,
I want to thank you for all
thank
that.
you.
And Mr. DiMartino, do you see a problem with that?
No, you're fine.
Because it's still the same amount of money, it's just that we're, due to the fact that we're putting it out to bid, it's going to extend it a little bit longer, correct?
Yes, it's no problem.
Okay.
And anything that's not approved in the original RFQ, I'll make sure to bring to you, and we'll obtain proposals on that if it's outside the RFQ.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you. Consider MOU for Clean Water Indiana Pollute Habitat Establishment Program. So, I believe.
Mr.
they are-
Vicari has to start coming and presenting these.
Yes,
Yeah.
you should. So I got a question on this one.
Are you aware, did you see the map site? I know,
I am aware of it, yes. And I had a pretty extensive meeting with Mr. Vicari. I obviously don't know all the intricate details of it, but I am pretty familiar with it. If you've got some questions, I'd be able to answer.
He stopped by my office the same day we talked for probably 45 minutes. It sounds like he wants to get part of that swampland cleaned up, have a bike trail or a walking trail, and hopefully possibly then we can take that ground and maybe develop some houses on it, bring some more tax base in. So, yeah, the question that I had was from Tree Corps. If I read some of the writing here, anything over the 10 hours on the 299 head, we've got to approve that. So he's got to come back for us if it goes over 10 hours, correct? How
correct.
you read
So
that too?
we gave him a dollar amount, or what he's asking for is a basic dollar amount.
2,400.
And then whatever he can get done for the $2,400.
He's got to come back to us then.
If it's not enough clearing, then he would come back to us.
Yeah, and that 2,400 pairs in with the grant that he's going to be doing with that. So I don't recall off the top of my head what percentage that grant is. I think you may be right. 75-25 was a pretty solid difference. So no, it's actually a 50-50. I see it right. Well, it's a 50-50 match program, but reimbursement costs per the 75-25 cost share. Okay. Interesting. I would make a motion to approve this MOU for the Clean Water Indiana Pollinator Habitat Establishment Program.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider 8 core public health service agreements. Amanda Lanyards to present.
Good
evening.
Commissioners. Our Health First Indiana funds this year in our budget, we had approved amounts set aside for community projects. We received a number of applications this year. We received 17 applications. We've selected 8 that we would like to award. And you have those. I met with each of you to go over those. So if you have any questions.
No, and then you're aware next year they're going to cut your funds.
Oh, I'm very aware,
Yeah.
sir. Yes.
Okay.
Painfully.
Yes. I'll make a
So
motion.
this, we won't be able to go forward. We won't be able to offer this again.
So you won't look to be last year then for this?
Right. We won't
Okay.
be, we're not receiving enough funds to be able to operate, much less to give out grants.
Now, I did hear there is a possibility at the next session they may open for budget discussions again, as they see whether, the 2.4 billion, whether it was real or not. So there's always hope. But I'll make a motion that we accept these 8 plans.
I'll second that. And just for clarification, just for the public, this grant money that you're giving out is money from the state that's meant for these community programs. So it's not stuff necessarily out of the general fund per se. It's stuff that the state wanted earmarked for things exactly like this.
Correct. This is coming out of the Health First Indiana funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, specifically for us to operate, but also to help these community programs.
All right. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Consider authorizing Commission President to appoint working group to evaluate development and sitting issues for proposed data centers in LaPorte County. So what we're looking to do is basically get a working group that would just help us, and they would be an advisory group, and we would like to go ahead and have someone from both major cities, from any of the municipalities that would like to participate and work with us on finding these data centers. And currently, Hammond, Indiana is got a working group, and it's working really well. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I think that's a good idea. I would make a motion to start that working group to evaluate development and ideas for proposed data centers.
I'll second that for some discussion. Just so long, go ahead.
So you probably want to discuss what type of makeup. I understand that you said stakeholders.
Yes.
But who else you might want to consider to be part of the working group, just so there's some form to it.
Sure.
So Plan Commission, we'd have to have someone from the Plan Commission be part of it.
I think somebody from the Plan Commission, our county planner, obviously.
One of the commissioners?
Commissioner, council person.
Yes.
And you said mayors from
both cities, so
from our 2 major cities, and then
that gives us 6.
Yeah, that gives us 6. And then representatives from our incorporated towns. A single representative from
Probably
into town.
yeah, because they're going to be stakeholders, and something's going to go into their area.
Possibly Wanata
close
or
to their
Westville.
area.
Yeah, Wanata, Westville,
They're the
LaCrosse.
largest
What
too.
we can do is we can also look at what Hammond has currently and see, what they're comprised of, and then kind of follow something that they have as well.
I'm going to meet with Matt Raridan probably next week sometime and tour the data center that went in Hammond on the old Gen Station property. I can ask them if we could look at what they're planning, their stakeholders, and maybe talk to a couple of them to get an idea how they're doing. I just want to make sure we're not taking any authority away from the Plan Commission for final siting and everything else, or the BZA.
This is just a work group.
Just a work group.
Yeah, advisory. And so another thing that, just so that the public knows, all three commissioners today, we met with a representative from Jim Banks' office. It went very, very well. They were asking us our concerns, and one of the things that we had asked for is to try to facilitate getting more property in the KIP or KOP, depending on how you refer to it. Having the DNR either donate back 1,000 acres or trying to work with them where we're getting more property so that we can start bringing in more development. Steve brought up a good idea, and that was that we have like some type of an exit out to 6. I know, Joe, you had some good concerns.
I did. One of the things we talked about the Michigan City Bridge here tonight, and that was my top concern for them that I've been pushing, is that either they need to help us with funding federally for this historic bridge, or change the makeup of the laws as they are now. So, like a lot of the mechanics are encased in concrete below level, and the public will never see those old working gears, right? In my opinion, the intent of the federal law is to maintain the aesthetics of the building, of the structure, its appearance, things like that. The not being able to modernize, and especially these things that we're having more and more difficulty getting parts for, having to fabricate them from scratch, sometimes from literally only one company on one of those items not long ago was from Germany. That's the only place we could source it. There's got to be some kind of either help at the federal level financially, or changing the law so that we can remove some of those old internals, replace them, modernize them, keep the facade, the appearance, everything the same on the structure for all those historical things as much as we can. But for some of those mechanical things, we need more options, and that's something that our hands are tied by the federal government. Between that, the Coast Guard access, things like that, we're just between a rock and a hard place with that bridge.
In Chicago, I believe, used to have the same type of bridge. Somehow they managed to go to hydraulic bridges. So I don't know if there's how they managed to do that, but there are a lot less moving parts for those hydraulic bridges, and that would help us tremendously.
There are.
So that was a good conversation with
Yes, it was.
So we definitely are all working together and really trying to get things done here in LaPorte County for all. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, the May 20th Town Hall. Would you like to speak a little bit about
May
it?
29th. All the council members and the commissioners, I attended one of Mayor Angie's. I think it's a great idea. Let the public come forward, ask the questions, get a straightforward answer instead of going to the BS on Facebook and social media like they're going after all the time. Let's get an honest, open answer this way. I've heard back from commissioners and council members, but I want to invite the public on May 29th in this room here from 6 to 8 p.m. You can come ask questions of us, and there will even be some department heads here and some other elected also. So I welcome everyone to come.
Okay. Do we need a motion and a second to give the approval to have a town hall
you're
here?
good.
Okay. Did you want to say something
No, I
else?
think you just have the travel form.
So- Yeah, we're still got two more. So,
Do have one too.
open for discussion is the MOU between EMA and the Convention Bureau.
I reviewed that. It was the same as last year. That's fine.
I would make a motion to approve that
Second.
MOU.
So we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then final would be the travel form.
The only things that when you sent them out, just the one thing I'd like to add is I want to make sure when it says state mandated that the vendors don't try and slip something in that says the state wants you to attend this. State mandated would be travel for state certification, state hours, state training, stuff like that, not just for vendor, because there's a lot of things come through that just the vendors want us to attend, especially on the ICC. There's several of those coming up, and the IAC. So I just want to make sure that it's for training purposes only. The council, was facing some very tough budget discussions. Our budget started with $20,000 this January for travel. We're down to $5,000. Is that correct, Diane?
Yes.
So it's been used in my sense frivolously. It's not taking away anything. If it's not mandated to attend or train, I just want to make sure that that's clear in this.
I think it's important to point out that certain mandatory training, obviously, we can't prevent folks from going to, nor should we. Other things that are specific to that are specifically related to individuals, duties, offices, our fellow employees. One of the things, coming from the private sector, training is extremely important, and keeping up on current, every year our representatives are in session. There's a whole slew of new laws and changes that are done across the board. So, keeping up with training that's specific to their offices, so going to a conference that's, got nothing to do with them, that's certainly one thing that shouldn't be occurring and should happen either a lot less, preferably not at all. But when there are these items and modules that are specific related to different duties, be it in the auditor's office, recorder's office, clerk's office, wherever it is, I would like to see our county employees as well trained as possible. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted G to be added on here, is to find out, is the training that you're going for specific to your office or to your duties? So, one of the things that unfortunately has plagued LaPorte County for a long time is kind of doing the bare minimum as far as a number of different things, barely complying with state law and different things and whatnot. And I want to see our employees not just be able to do their job, but thrive in it, and see fewer write-ups from these various agencies and stuff. And keeping up with the current laws, current changes, and being as efficient as possible, I think, is important. So I'm concerned of putting out the wrong message that we don't want our employees to be trained or to do the bare minimum, maybe sending kind of the wrong message. I've got no problem making sure that we rein in some of the travel, but I want to make sure that we're not kind of throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
I concur with that. I just want to make sure that they're going to go do something that the state says they need to learn to do their job, and not just because some vendor says they want to attend something. If it's important enough, then the state should say, okay, yeah, that vendor's doing something important for them to learn a trade. Just want to make sure the state's involved, that they are aware of it too. That's all.
And a lot of the training that vendors will do, and I can't speak to anyone in particular because there's so many of them, but a lot of the training that vendors do that put on, those training usually only requires whatever the mileage, meals that sometimes not even meals. Most of the time when they're done by vendors and supported like that, there's no charges associated with it. Whereas when some of this more state called stuff, there are charges for the classes and things like that. So, as long as the training is specific to what their duties and responsibilities are, regardless of whether it's from a vendor or directly from the state, I personally don't have a problem with that. As long as, again, it's specific to their job duties and are learning how to be better public servants.
Right, if it's a good one for the vendor, the state will approve it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at. I mean,
the state sets the bare minimums, right?
Yes.
So the state sets the bare minimums that, for example, the auditor has X number of hours they have to complete over the course of their term. It doesn't say that, you can't have more training, that you don't need more training, but you're setting, kind of those bare minimums. It's like for anything else, let's say you go see your doctor and the doctor's required to have, 120 continuing hours of education per year. Would you rather go to the doctor that's getting 120 hours a year or 150, 160, 200 hours a year? It's more training, more. It's again, as long as it's specific to what their duties are, the better trained they are, the more efficient they can become, and the less trouble we can get in from the state.
Well, but some of the items we've called about this downstate, they do not require them or anything else. And that's the question. If the state doesn't want it to be done, if the state wants them to be done, they will call them state certified. If they don't want to be done, that's what they've been saying.
And I believe we're paying our vendors, right? We pay these vendors to come out to provide a service for us, and I believe that there's a lot of support. You use a couple of the vendors, Mr. Auditor. Don't they come out and actually do some
Well, the main software that we use is the LAO system for several different types.
And do you have a support system for it?
We had them here today, and I wasn't going to brag about it, but we are the 5th county in the state to submit settlement for for DGL review as of today, and that technically has to be paid out by June 30th, but we're way ahead of the curve. And we had the people from LAO to walk us through the process, and it is if you don't have a checklist, and they provide the checklist as well, but we had person on site with us. Now, we've also had multiple times during the year where some event has happened with the software and they've come out, but that's the type of service that we get. They also do training, and I could go on and say other things, but like in payroll, we had some additional training there to help them, and now we have 2 cross-trained, and I'm going to say professionals in our payroll department that now are finding things that they wouldn't find if they were just buried in work because of the training that they received.
That's fantastic news. Congratulations on getting that done. But of course, when staff comes out on site from them, they're obviously charging for their time when they come out.
It's part of the contract.
Yeah.
So
That's why we're paying them.
and we can call them too as well, and that's all part of the contract. So it's not extra.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table and a second. All those in favor of adopting this form, say aye. Or do we have any more questions?
Adopting the form that's here in front of us
Yes.
with items A through G.
I never got a first or second.
And you reviewed these?
I put them together.
Yeah.
So, I know that there was a discussion. So, did somebody move to approve this and second it for further discussion or to make
Yes.
edits to it? Where are you in the process?
We haven't voted on it yet, but we're still discussing. Because I still think if it's not state-required training,
First or second, that's fine.
they shouldn't be allowed to go unless they want to fund this all out of their own budget, because right now, most of this travel is coming out of the commissioner's budget. And as we just stated a few minutes ago, they burned up 3/4 of it in less than half the year. And the council's under budget constraints, the state's going through budget constraints. I think it's due diligence. We share constraints too. So if things get better in the future, fine. Maybe the vendors, if they think this is that important, they'll either offer it as some of your, like the LAO does, or they'll go to the state and explain to the state that we feel this should be state mandated. We think it's worth their while.
Mayor, I would also like to add that LAO does offer free training where we've had to go to Indy for the day, and that was also part of the progress that we have with them, and also part of the program. They are a very large vendor in the state. Anybody who's a very large vendor in the state will offer these free programs within the state. So those are the things that, if you want to put a caveat within the state on that with the vendor, that may help you push it through.
Yeah, I think Mr. DiMartino did a pretty good job of putting this list together. So, for example, the 2 items you just talked about, Commissioner Hollifield, you talked about, it's required state training. We have that on here. You said, maybe if there's an exemption, because they have their own funding to go to it, we have that covered in B under C if it's self-funded travel already. So I think as these travel forms come in, we'll see which ones are yes and which ones are no, and then be able to make our own independent decisions as far as what's appropriate and what's not. For example, maybe it's not state required training, but it is self-funded, and it is a training or a conference that's specific to the duties or offices. Then we may not want to deny that if it's specific to their duty and it's already being self-funded out of their own perpetuation budget or whatever the case may be. So I think Mr. DiMartino did a pretty good job here of do we have more yeses than nos on the form, or however you want to go through it as it comes before the 3 of us. But I think that becomes a solid template here that covers all the questions that you've asked.
And we will still be able to go on this on a case-by-case basis, correct?
Well, yeah, it has to be approved by all, right?
Okay. Yeah. And if they want to go on these stuff that's not state approved, they're going to have to provide proof that with the need for it.
If
Yeah,
that's going to be your,
Would be under-
if that's going to be your bar,
So.
yes.
Yeah. That's why I thought G was so important. We make sure, it is specific to it and it's not frivolous, for lack of a better word, which we don't have too much of that, but still we need to make sure we're tightening our belt here. So was the motion to approve the travel form as presented here tonight?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I don't have.
Aye.
Did I got that?